Everybody, welcome to another Facebook Live. Today you have only me. Don't get discouraged. Whoa, I got my own studio audience. Thank you. Calm down over there. All right. Actually, they can see there's nobody on that couch. I double as a therapist. No. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live here today. Okay, in this time of business planning, okay, I want to talk about some things. I call this a little rock star reboot. These are the things that you want to be thinking about. I think when you're doing your business plan, thinking about next year, sprinting to the finish line this year, I think the most important thing to start with is focus on results generating activities. Results generating activities, not just being busy. A lot of people confuse those two. Well, I'm busy. Okay, well, are you productive? Do you have transactions? Do you have listings? Do you have sales going on? Right? Do you have things like that happening? Because if you don't, then you're busy and not you're busy, not productive. The thing to think about is, am I in activities that are causing me to do transactions? That's the key. Stop worrying about the results and focus solely on the activities. Okay? That's number one on my list. Okay, so not busy, but productive. Second one on my list is align yourself with, the right environment. And we're all responsible for our own environment. Like me, I'm in my office. I have my door shut. Sometimes it's open, sometimes it's shut, depending on what I'm doing. I also prospect as well. I also talk to our agents about what's going on. I also do a lot of coaching. But when it comes time for me to get focused, I shut that door because I'm easily distracted, like a lot of you. And some of us are not only distracted, we're looking for them. We're actually looking to create distractions rather than just take productive actions. All right, so be responsible for your environment. And that's also mentally. Like, what are you thinking about? What are you reading? What are you listening to? Right? What do you have going on in your car while you're driving? What you're listening to while you're at the gym? Hopefully it's good stuff, because it's easy to pollute yourself. I was talking to somebody today and they were like, I'm in a very bad environment. Well, get out of it. I'm not telling you to get divorced or whatever, but if you can't work out of your house, or you can't, work in the office or whatever, then pick an area you can. And when I talk about controlling your environment, I'm talking about listening to great stuff. These are the best, this is not an Apple commercial, but I will say these are the best inventions invented by mankind, Earbud Pros, because they have noise cancelers and the whole deal. And trust me, you cannot hear anything when you have those on if you have them at a decent volume. Okay, so that's number 2 on my list. Align yourself with the right environment. Number 3 on my list is, what's your passion? I know it's kind of overused, so I almost hate to say it, but why are you passionate about this result, about this business, about getting results in this business? What turns you on? I know for me, it was, I like being my own boss. I like the fact that I can only hire and fire myself. All right, because sometimes you work for other people, you do a tremendous job, and somebody else gets promoted. Or in this business, the worst thing that can happen to you is that someone else gets a listing over you. Well, you can always go get another one, right? Where when you're working for a company, something wrong happens that could last with you for a long time. In real estate, victories and losses are very quick. Get on with it. Next. Okay, so why are you passionate about this business? I wrote down number 4, billable hour activities. That's an old Mike Ferry one that I love to say. Billable hour activities are what you're doing, are the things you're doing causing you to make money. Because, you make money when you're talking to people, prospecting, lead generation, whatever you want to call it. You're making money when you're doing lead follow-up with intensity, right? Remember, I call it semi-stalker lead follow-up. Number 3, when you're on a qualified appointment, buyers or sellers, you're making money. And when you're negotiating contracts, everything else, you're making $20 an hour. So you could be making hundreds, thousands of dollars per hour when you're doing those things. You're making $20 an hour doing everything else. So maybe it's time to get somebody else to do it for you. All right. So billable hour activities. Number 5 on my list is, do you have a little balance in your life? And I know we're going to be overbalanced, whatever you want to call it. You're an entrepreneur. Your definition of a work week is different than the average person who punches it at a certain time. And, so I would say that to me, balance should be scheduled in. Like, what is your daily schedule? When do you get up? When do you have time to spend with your spouse, kids, so forth? When do you have time to take care of your health, your spirituality, your mindset? To me, they're broken down into money, business. That's the same one, money, business, family relationships, health, all right, spirituality, and mindset. You could call that religion too, spirituality, mindset. All right, those are my 5 that I like to focus on and have goals for. And you should have goals for every one of those. Look, listen to this one. Listen to number 6. Trust yourself. You are where you are today, exactly where you are, and you're not going to be any further or any closer or any further than where you are right now. So you have to trust yourself with where you are. I mean, what I mean by that is when you go into a listing presentation or a buyer presentation, have confidence. I can't tell you how many people I talk to say, well, why would a seller hire me? Well, that's something you need to answer immediately. First off, you're the most knowledgeable person in the room. You have a real estate license. You passed a test. So you are a real estate professional. If you've ever been paid at least once, that makes you a professional. So, and you can just go on from there. You get the best brand on the planet. All right. Berkshire Hathaway. You have incredible tools here. All right. So you need to do a checkup from the neck up if you're worried about why somebody would help pay you, because you're worth it. That's why they would pay you. I mean, it's really that simple. And you got to act and walk and talk and be that part. Okay. So I'm going to news alert here. My number 7 on my list is avoid blaming other people. Okay. Let me help you out. You are not a victim. All right. No matter what happened to you in your life or whatever, you're not a victim. No one's out to get you. All right. You live in the best country in the world. You have the best profession, I think, in the world called real estate. It's the ultimate leveling playing field situation. It doesn't matter how tall you are. It doesn't matter what sex you are. It doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are, what color you are, what race, what creed. It doesn't matter if you're willing to learn some traits and, get some skills. All right. And, really, really apply yourself. You can be tremendous in this business. All right. And part of that is because very few people are doing what I just said. So it really separates you from them when you do that. So you're not a victim. You live in the best country in the world. You have tremendous opportunity. I say that today because so many people, play that part. I'm a victim. Okay. Wow. What a tremendously, place to come from. You're not. Get over it. Move on. All right. Decide what you want out of life and then head down the path. Right? As long as you're heading down the path, you're a success. You don't have to be there. Success really isn't a destination. That's why I wrote that little book, Success is a Verb, because in the dictionary, it's a noun. I disagree with that. I disagree with Webster's on this one. All right. So you're not a victim. Get over it. Okay. Stop wasting time. A lot of people waste time. They just, I don't believe it's because they don't know what to do. I think it's just people like to waste time. Now, there's a time like rest and relaxation is not wasting time because you need to recharge the batteries. You need to, have some time to yourself and your family and your relationships. That's all very important. But wasting time means you're just not being productive when you're supposed to be being productive. Don't do that. I also wrote down here, take the next right step. You always want to be taking the next right step. So what's the next right step? Usually it's in your daily schedule. Because remember, we have plans. My video this morning was, have clarity. You need to know why you're doing this and where you want to end up. And when I say end up, I mean, as you get close, you usually extend the finish line. Okay. Like a good entrepreneur, right? You get close, you make it bigger. You get close to your goals, you make them bigger, more audacious. Right. And, but you have to know what that is. What does it look like? What do you look like? Who are you? And then you have to have actions that are consistent with it. And then you have to follow them every day. So you have plans, all right? So you have the numbers are the goals and what I want to accomplish. Then you have the things you have to do every day to get there. And then you have the daily schedule. And once you have the daily schedule becomes the daily business plan that you need to follow every day. So when I say do the next right thing, take the next right step, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, and then number 10 on my list, when in doubt, constantly go back to your why. Why did you get into this business? Does everybody remember why they got it? I remember. I was sitting in my second year of college. Okay, accounting class. Dr. Carr was his name. Yes, there's such a thing as a doctorate in accounting. Contain yourselves, but there is. Okay, doctorate in accounting. And he came out and said, if you graduate from this school with a 4-year degree, now remember, it's 1985. Okay, remember, I'm 60. I'll be 61 in December. Can you imagine that? I know. I don't look it. I get it. But I am. My wife just turned 60 as well. Not 62, 60 as well. Or 36 for the 24th time. No, I'm kidding. All right. So he came out and he announced that the average person from this school with a 4-year degree will make $19,500 their first year in business, getting a job for somebody else who may not like you, who may help you in your progress. So I immediately said to myself, because I already got my license, I was selling real estate part-time and I made almost $30,000 my first year. And I'm like, why would I continue doing this for another 2 years to make less money and have somebody else ahead of me somewhat controlling my projection, okay, in life? I'm like, nope, I'm out. And I'm glad I did. That was 40 years ago. Yeah. 40 years ago. I've been in this business for 40 years, and it's been ups and downs and everything in between. And I've done everything you could possibly do wrong, both building, developing, everything. And I'm still here and doing pretty well. All right. So, and I know a lot of you I coach are doing incredibly well. You're having a great year, even though this year has been a little slower, but there's still plenty of transactions to have out there. Okay. So number one, focus on results, not being busy. Number two, control your environment. Stop blaming other people. All right. Number three, revisit your passion often. What is it? Why did you get into it? I just went through mine. I wanted to be in control. And I saw real estate. And remember, when I got into the business at 20, my first full-time year, I was 20. The second person in my office closest to me in age was 42. So literally, everybody was twice my age. All right. That was when nobody got into real estate as a first-time career. It was always a second, third, fourth career. All right. You want to spend most of your time in billable hours, the high billable hour activities. You want to have balance in your life. Like you got to have other spokes on the wheel and goals for them too. And this is a big one, number 6, trust yourself. If you don't trust yourself, no one else is going to. It comes across. People have a filter when they meet you. This person is confident, competent, and natural, or is not. It's very apparent by the way you're acting. So you need to, if you don't feel like you're number one, you need to convince yourself by reading stuff, listening to stuff, doing visualization, doing meditation. Okay. And then taking actions that cause, because when you get into transactions and you start doing stuff, you can't help but feel more confident with that. The number one reason to be a productive person is the way it makes you feel. To me, money's great, but you feel productive. Everybody needs a purpose. Everybody needs a reason. And if you don't have one, you will never feel great about yourself. I don't think, especially somebody with an entrepreneurial spirit like everybody watching today. Okay, so trust yourself. Come across like that. Avoid blame. You're not a victim. Get over it. You live in the best country in the world. Think about this. I do crazy stuff like this. Anytime I start questioning what I'm doing or maybe, feeling a little negative, I immediately remind myself that I live in the best country in the world. Only 4.5% of the planet lives in the United States. You drive on roads. I'm in Las Vegas. The roads are incredibly great. They're always expanding. We were just talking about this last night with my father-in-law when I was bringing him back home. Yep, the roads are, Vegas is pretty damn good. They got it down. The roads are expanding ahead. Like people think there's traffic here. Nope, go to Los Angeles. That's traffic. Go to New York, go to Boston. Not really major traffic here because they build the roads ahead of the necessity, which is great, right? You're in the best country in the world. 95% of the planet would trade places with you in a heartbeat. And then you focus on things like I'll tell you one of my pet peeves. I'm sitting on a plane, flying across the country, 3 time zones, or to a different part of the world. You hear a person 2 seats over or wherever starting to complain. Oh, we're already taking off 15 minutes late. You're flying in a cylinder through the air at 40,000 feet, going to another destination. All right. To me, it's like, focus on that. Focus on what's positive. You may get there a little later. But you're still going to get there. Okay. The statistics for flying, very good. Actually, way better than driving your car. All right. So you're not a victim. Enjoy yourself. Look for things to be grateful about. Go through an attitude of gratitude routine every day. I guarantee you, it'll make you feel better. Stop wasting time was number 8. All right. Take the next right step. Number 9, always. If you do that all day, every day, I'm talking about your health, your relationships, everything. And then when in doubt or you're feeling down, go back to your why, your passion, your reason for doing this. All right. And I believe everything will work out even better. So that's it for today, folks. With me always is Paul. Paul, thank you very much. Party on, Paul. All right. And we will do this again in a week. Thank you. Bye, everybody. Thanks, Paul.